Hi, happy Friday, everyone. We're getting started a little bit late this week. Um, Cold weather kind of slows me down a little bit, but I have enjoyed being able to sit outside, and especially yesterday with that sunshine that we had. Um, I had the joy of um, having a COVID test over the last week. uh, was exposed to somebody that was positive for COVID a couple of weeks ago, and so had to go and get that test done, and that is never a fun experience. But I am negative. I'm symptom free, and everything's good here. Um, Unfortunately, that's not the case for a lot of individuals during this holiday season. As we're preparing for the fun of opening those presents on Christmas morning, or if you're Jewish, the presents that you share, the joy with family. However, if you're in an abusive situation, that's not going to be the reality that you are looking forward to. The holiday season brings in a lot of stressors, which in statistical history increases the likelihood that an abusive situation will. Um, and so today I thought I would just give some information that's maybe not known, because it is a scary prospect to leave your abuser, because it's not only the physical abuse but the mental abuse that you've been suffering at the hands of, that has conditioned you of what will happen. Are you going to lose your livelihood? Are you going to lose your children? Are you going to lose everything if you leave your abuser? Because typically the abuser is also in control of the finances. So just some things to start preparing, and to make sure that you stay safe. First and foremost, uh, know that if you don't have transportation, that both Uber and Lyft have pledged free rides to domestic violence victims. So that would be a place that you could reach out to just to get away, because a lot of times, the abuser will control the transportation just as another way to control their victims. And some other things that you're going to want to plan ahead is you want to make sure that you've got cash, enough cash to support you for a month or two. Um, Credit cards are good, but it's very, very easy for a credit card to be reported as lost or stolen and turned off. So you may not have that ability, and that's why cash is always the best avenue. Um, you'll want to make sure that you take any identification that you have. You want to take your driver's license, your if you don't have a driver's license, your Texas ID, a passport, so anything that's your identification. And if you are leaving with your children, which do not leave your children in the abusive situation, take them with you. Um, you'll want to make sure that you take any of their documents as well. If you're leaving with a baby, you want to make sure that you've got everything that baby is going to need. Formula, diapers, changes of clothing, anything like that. There are a lot of shelters out there that do provide clothing. So if you're not able to take a lot with you, there are going to be some resources that can help you. You want to make sure that you have written, not in your phone. You want to have a written log of phone numbers and contact information for your friends and relatives and shelters and police stations. Uh, you don't want to rely on them just being in your phone, because that phone can be cut off very easily by the abuser. And then if you don't have those numbers memorized, you're not going to have access to the additional help that you may need. Um, you want to make sure when you go on with your kiddos that you take any of their comfort items, stuffed animals, certain pillows, anything like that that's going to make them feel a little better about what's going on. Very important. Make sure you take all of your medications and your vitamins and supplements, anything that you take for your health and for your children's health. Make sure and take them with you. Um, you'll want to make sure and take birth certificates. That's another big one for the kids that you'll want to take. Um, You want to make sure that if you've been able to get an order of protection, so obviously if this is an active abuse situation, call the police. And you, when the police makes an arrest in a domestic violence situation or an assault situation, you can get an emergency protective order, and those are usually offered or put into place automatically upon arrest for a family violence situation. And so you will be protected with what we call an emergency order of protection, or a magistrate's emergency order of protection. And you'll want to make sure you have a copy of that with you at all times so that you can show the police if your abuser violates that order. You might want to take any pictures, family photo albums, anything like that. I suggest you have a bag that you've packed, and make sure that you can keep it hidden. So if it's a bag that you can keep at a friend's house, or in another location, someplace where your abuser would not see it, then that would be what you would want to do. The best thing is, if you are not in an active part of the abuse cycle, and you have the ability to make a plan, make a plan. Discuss with your friends and your relatives and people that you trust. If you have a caseworker with anybody, or a doctor, or anybody that you can talk about a plan with, make sure that you do that. So that's just a few of the things to think about. And it's a happy season, but it's also a very dangerous time of the year for a lot of individuals. Just remember, it is never okay for somebody to lay their hands on you without your permission. And it is never your fault when somebody does that. Of course, unless they're doing it in self-defense. Also, another big family member you don't want to leave in the hands of an abuser is any pets. So you'll want to make sure that you can make some plans for those pets to ensure their safety, just in case. That's so typically a lot of times what I see is, if you leave the children or a pet with the abuser, that is the one thing that they can use to control you, to get you to come back. So you want to make sure that your children and your pets are safe, and that you are taking the steps that you need to make sure that you are safe as well. So if you have any questions, or you want a sounding board for any safety plans or some resources, just reach out to me and I'd be happy to share those with you. You can do that in a direct message, or you can do that via email. And if you send it to service, SERVICE, at boswelltexaslaw.com, that goes to my full staff, and so somebody will be able to reach out and help you. Anyway, I hope everybody has a safe and enjoyable holiday season, and we will talk to you next week. Have a great week, everyone.